Jimmy Haslam gave Browns fans something they have been looking for a long time: transparency and honesty. At the NFL owners meeting, he talked to some reporters and more or less just owned up to the Deshaun Watson trade being a failure, which we all knew, but it was still, I think, relieving for everyone to acknowledge and just get it out in the open. And we don't have to play this song and dance of the ownership putting up this facade when in reality, we all are all thinking the same thing. Now, the quote that's really gone, around social media isn't even the quote that I'm actually gravitating towards the most. But this is the thing that majority of people are talking about today. Haslam talking about Watson saying, "We took a big swing and miss with Deshaun. We thought we had the quarterback. We didn't, and we gave up a lot of draft picks to get him. So we've got to dig ourselves out of that hole. It was an entire organization decision, and it ends with Dee and I, so hold us accountable." A couple of takeaways from that right there. One, it's something that you and I have known for a while, and we just hope the Browns also knew as well, but now it's out in the open. Deshaun Watson is done in Cleveland. This is what I've been saying for like 2-3 months now. Here's the timeline for Deshaun Watson. He will spend the entire 2025 season on the physically unable to perform list. The Browns are going to get about $44 million in salary cap relief for 2026 because they insured his contract. They will release him in March or February, March officially, as a post-June 1 designation. So almost 12 months from now, like 50 weeks from today, the Browns are going to say, we are releasing Deshaun Watson as a post-June 1 designation. They are going to split the dead money over 2026 and 2027, and that dead cap hit will not be as bad as it looks initially because you have $44 million in salary cap relief coming from the injury insurance you picked up. Oh, and by the way, Deshaun Watson will never play in the NFL again because what team would sign a quarterback just first off coming off 2 Achilles injuries and a shoulder injury the season before that? Oh, and I didn't even get to everything that happened before the injuries. So that's the end for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and I would suspect in the National Football League as well. So there's that. But as for Haslam and his comments there, it is nice and refreshing to get some honesty, right? Because a lot of times GMs like to just give coach speak and, beat around the bush and dodge the question. That was not the case here. He called it what it was, a swing and a miss. And you ready for this too? This is going to be an unpopular opinion. I know everyone pretty much hates Jimmy and Dee Haslam, or mostly Jimmy Haslam. I don't have an issue with the way Haslam went about this. Obviously, it looks bad for the Browns right now. And if you could hit a button to undo it all, you'd hit that button knowing what you know now. But at the time, I don't mind that the owner of your team decides, yeah, we can do better at quarterback. And if that requires giving up a fully guaranteed contract, I'm not going to let money stand in the way of doing that. Sure, the player did not live up to his end of the deal, but I don't mind that the ownership was like, oh, we can upgrade, and the only thing stopping from us from doing that is cash. That's not a problem. I'll pay whatever you want for this team to be best as possible. I'd rather have that type of owner than one that doesn't want to give out money. Now, you want to give out money to the right players, and that was the crime here. That was what did the Browns in. But I don't hate the process of you've got an owner who wants to make this team as good as possible and won't let money get in the way of accomplishing that goal. There are a lot of other owners who would just go, yeah, we're not going to give out that type of contract, so sorry, make do with what you have here. Enjoy your budget and your allowance. But to kind of wrap it all up here, and then I want to look at the quote that really jumped out to me more so than that quote. This is the blame order for the Deshaun Watson fiasco, bundled all together. Haslam, I think, quarterbacked this whole thing. I think he saw an opportunity to improve from Baker Mayfield. I think Barry and Stefanski were on board with moving on from Baker because the way things ended in 2021, not once but twice, Baker to the media threw Stefanski under the bus. That relationship was going south. I don't think Baker was going to come back for a second contract. I think the Browns were going to let him play out the final year of that 5th-year option. And if you remember that year for Baker, it was not a good season. and they would have let him walk to free agency and someone else would have signed him. So I don't have this major remorse over letting Baker go. I don't think Baker was ever going to be in Cleveland beyond 2022. I put Barry at number 2, though. He is the GM. If he's a puppet GM, then he's not doing his job. And so he clearly had some level of high interest since he said we embarked on this odyssey in like November to find an upgrade from Baker Mayfield. And that included Deshaun Watson. And then Stefanski, I think, was kind of along for the ride. He did sit down with Watson and go over cut-ups of his time in Houston and what they would do differently in Cleveland. So I think there is, more investment from Stefanski than some people want to give him credit for, but I do have him third in this totem pole. Now, if you are just ready for a chapter of brand new Cleveland Browns football, starting with the second pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, whether that is Shedeur Sanders or Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, they're going to get a big name, and that big name is hopefully going to be here for a long time. And if you're ready for that, show me by liking the video. Now, I've been teasing it for the first half of the video, but Haslam also had another quote from this session with the media at the NFL owners meeting that jumped out to me more so. And here's what he said. On drafting a quarterback, I think the message is if the right person is there, we're going to take him. If not, we'll figure it out for a year or two until we get the right person. We need good football players. There's good football players in this draft, and we got to make sure we get the right ones for us. There were a lot of people in January and February saying the Browns are going to take a quarterback because they have to. Logic dictates that. That was exact words from Adam Schefter. Andrew Berry is going to get fired if they don't win more games next year, and Abdul Carter is not going to help them win more games next year. And that's not wrong. But we are seeing something from Haslam right now, which is patience. He is looking at Berry and Stefanski as his duo for years to come. And he is not going to let a blimp in 2024 and 2025 derail what they are building in that front office and coaching staff. So if there is patience for Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, they are not going to feel rushed to have a save the marriage baby. Take a quarterback at number 2 because we just want to be here for another season. And there's no better way to ensure that than drafting a quarterback and then next year going to ownership saying, you can't fire us. We're just getting started with this quarterback. Even if they feel like there's better options at number 2, we got to take a quarterback for what's best for us, not what's best for this team. So whether that's Shedeur Sanders, maybe it's Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, like the Browns, I think, or Jimmy Haslam is showing the Browns. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Jimmy Haslam, because everyone hears the Browns, Jimmy Haslam is showing Berry and Stefanski a lot of patience to go out and get the best player and not feel pressured to reach on a quarterback because if they don't get one this year, they may not get the chance to draft a quarterback next year. And as a fan, that's the best way for your front office to operate. I feel like teams would run differently if GMs and coaches were told, hey, you're not going to be fired for 10 years. Oh, well, now that I have that level of security and assurance, I actually would take this player who I like more, but it's not that sexy of a position, but I feel pressure to take a butts and seats guy, a quarterback, or a ticket sales wide receiver based on the season we just had last year. But since you're telling me I've got a longer leash than I realize, I'm going to take that offensive tackle, which I know right now may not scream like a popular pick, but my gut tells me he's going to be an anchor on this offensive line for 10 to 15 years. And you would appreciate that in 2 or 3 years and look back and go, whew, thank God they didn't reach on that quarterback, Zach Wilson. Otherwise, they never would have gotten that incredible corner, that incredible tight end, that incredible defensive tackle, who's now a pillar of this team. But understandably so, coaches and GMs don't get told, hey, you have this job for 10 years, so don't sweat it if you don't get the quarterback immediately. So to wrap up the video, make the pick at number 2. Shedeur Sanders, Abdul Carter, or Travis Hunter. You all know I lean Abdul Carter, and if you're just starting to strap in for some draft content, it's Carter, Hunter, then Sanders for me at number 2. In fact, here's my top 5. Abdul Carter at number 1, which we can probably stop right there because Cam Ward's going to go number 1 to the Titans. So no sense in looking past Carter if you really don't need to. I have Cam Ward at number 2. He's definitely warmed up on me over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I still don't think he is going to be even one of the 10 best first overall quarterbacks selected in the last 15, 20 years. Will Campbell, I'm going to put him at number 3. That's not a very popular pick. The guy was a day one starting left tackle at LSU as a true freshman, one of the best players on that team last year. And the only thing people could come up with as to why he's not going to be great at the next level is his arms are a quarter inch too short at the combine. Spoiler, combine measurements may not have been great because everyone at their pro days had drastically different measurements, including Campbell getting to the very important 33-inch arm length. I put Travis Hunter at number 4 because the Browns view him as a wide receiver, and I don't view him as a perennial receiver that you rarely see in every single draft. I think if Travis Hunter, the wide receiver, was in last year's draft, he would not be any better than or go any higher than Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, or Roma Dunze. So just Hunter, the receiver alone, I think can be a very good player in the NFL. But second overall good, not really. And then I have Will Johnson at number 5. This is just more of a personal affinity towards, I think Johnson's going to be a stud. I think he's going to be a fan favorite, a second to third contract type of player for a team that drafts him. And he's going to be a playmaking corner like he was for the team up north, gathering a ton of interceptions and then turning a lot of those into touchdowns. So who do you want to select with that second overall pick? Let me know in the comment section below whether it was one of those 3 guys or maybe someone else that I did not talk about. All right, let's pick a card to wrap up today's episode. Reed, which card do you want to go with? Ace of Spades? Good. I think if you pick one card and just stick with it the whole offseason, you're going to get the card right more often than me, who just changes it every single day. I'm going to go with the 9 of Diamonds. I feel kind of confident about this one, too. I'm sticking this card. 8 of Hearts. 8 of Hearts. All right. That's going to do it for us on our second edition of the Browns Report for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed our coverage, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all later.